All right. Hmm. No submit button. What are you talking about? No, there should definitely be submit buttons. I yeah, I'm not sure how there would be no submit buttons because let me look at the so if I'm looking right here where it says turn in, it says submitting a file upload. Dana, that's the ones that it has something that you're supposed to upload. It's where it says that. And then like tomorrow, there's a video explaining. There's a weekly review. Notice that it says file upload there. Video explaining, right? And so the ones that say file upload are the ones that are going to have things that you're supposed to be uploading. Make sure. Yeah, that yeah, they're all right. Should be good. All right. So let's get moving here. As okay. Um, as usual, we got yeah, there's gonna be a Nearpod. A lot to deal with today. All right. First thing we need to deal with is kind of catching up where we are in terms of wrapping up the first semester in about 3 weeks. Last day to turn in work is going to be the 17th of December. Um, so I sent out all the missing stuff. I've sent out grade updates that I would normally send out on Monday. I finished that up. Now, the thing I do need to talk about today is that next Monday during this time, we're going to have our next round of map testing. We have to do 3 by state law. Right now, Wednesday at homeroom time, we're going to be doing device, like helping you walk through the device check, make sure you got it where it's going to work when we get in here for map testing next Monday. And so make sure you do come to homeroom on Wednesday, even if you don't normally go to homeroom all the time. You need to go Wednesday for that purpose. Okay. Uh, and then just kind of talking you through this is the info that Miss Snyder sent out to parents um, as it relates to this. All right. So again, Monday for ELA or for math, Tuesday for ELA. All right, 10 o'clock. So obviously you're going to be you're going to be in this particular normal Zoom session there. You're here in the fall. I think we should have it figured out. It's not shouldn't be a big problem. Um, so you one of the things is it's a huge deal for us in terms of our school that we get everybody to do this, okay? Because for us as a school, we have to be graded on how much students are actually engaged and are active and things like that. So knowing that you're actually at least kind of doing a school, at least by logging in and doing your map testing, at least shows them that you are, alive and stuff, right? That sort of thing. And the state at least wants us to make sure that you've done that and done your SC ready and things of that nature. Obviously, I'm not happy that some of you are just currently choosing to fail sixth grade. Hopefully, you'll change your mind on that, but you get the point, right? We need to make sure that we have done these major assessment things. So to encourage that, one of the things Miss Snyder threw out there, and I'm fine with, is that everybody who does their map testing is going to get a 100 in the grade book if you got logged in, done your best. Okay, right there. And then I'll put a 0 in the grade book for people who didn't do their map testing. I don't know which part she wants me to put that in. I'm sorry, I haven't talked to her about that yet. And then two, like, well, seriously, the deal for us is we have, you know, because of the way funding works for a charter school, we need enrollment numbers, but at the same time, it's not fair to those of y'all who are good students and doing well, and you're going to do great. And then at the end of the year, if it looks like our test scores are terrible because we got a bunch of kids who don't ever do anything, then in some ways, those of y'all who are good students and who work hard, um, that's not good for you because that reflects badly on the school that you have been doing for the year, right? And so I think that you should understand that it's important for everybody to do their best and to be here too. Anyway, all right. Any other questions on that? I was asked if that's a major or minor. I don't know yet. I just know that that's what they decided on. They just asked me a question and then they sent me this out info and said, share this. This is what went home to the parents and parent square. Okay. No other questions, and we were ready to move on. All right, so log into the Nearpod here. All right, the Nearpod. That's an I2NJ9. I2NJ9. I'm not wanting to talk about SC Ready today. No, another time. I2NJ9. I'm going to switch over to the Nearpod here. I2NJ9. Let's see. Live participation. Yeah. Resume. Am I in the right one? No. Okay. Okay. So we're here. Okie doke. I2NJ9. And if you hadn't been noticing the grade book, I am putting at least some points in here for doing these with me. Because this on this unit I can actually tell whether you're doing stuff as we're doing it. It's nice. I like it. All right, so get yourself logged in here. I will type it in here. It's I2NJ9, capital I2NJ9. All right. All right. So where we are today on our standards is numbers and operations NS6. And we're really on kind of part A there, understand the concept of opposite numbers, including zero and the relative locations on the number line. Most people did pretty well on the first quiz on this unit. Make sure you have done that quiz. We also today are working on understanding absolute value represents a number's distance from zero on the number line and use the absolute value of a rational number to represent real world situations. So we're doing some stuff with absolute values this week. Also that part E right there and interpreting with the less than, greater than. And then next week, we're going to get into the inequalities, or actually this week some too, and then into some coordinate plane stuff. So that's the rest of what we have this unit. We should be done with all the numbers and operations, and we've done the ratio and proportions. So we'll be done with all of that, both of those strands, which are the bigger strands that take longer. And we got one more big strand on expressions and equations after Christmas break, and then we'll have the geometry and the data and statistics after that. Okay, so we're on pretty good pace here. All right, so today's goals, I can explain. There's 15 people in here, and I've only got 7 people on our Nearpod, so the rest of you are going to take a 0 for the day, right? That's what I'm assuming. Has anybody got any question about how to log on? In the login.nearpod.com, right? And then you have I2NJ9. Okay. Again, I'm looking at what you do on every slide that's a write it slide. And I take off points for whichever ones you're not writing on that you should have. If you got some issues with you doing that, during class, that's a problem for you. I do have one posted that you can do on your own pace later. And so if you think, if it looks like you got not all your points, then you can go back and redo the whole thing and, use my lesson video if you need to. All right, so I can explain what the absolute value of a number is. Find the absolute value of rational numbers, okay? Meaning, whole numbers, integers, as well as fractions. And recognize and use the notation, meaning the symbol thing for absolute value, okay? Not hard, you just got to build the understanding, okay? All right, so closer to 0. All right, so the first thing here, this one should be one that you can annotate. If I'm not you can't annotate this one? Okay, if you can't, it's because I ran out of room for basically, because I'm not paying them a bunch of money, I can only use so many of these for you to write on. Okay, so on this first one here, look through these. So it has, for each pair of expressions, decide mentally which one has a value that is closer to 0. All right, so Chloe's telling me you can't write on this one. Is that correct, Chloe? Okay. Yeah, you're right. This is the one I had to cut off of that. So closer to 0 here, if we think about it. All right, I did want to go ahead and explain it though. All right, so if we are at 0, and then we have, all right, one whole would be 11 elevenths, right? So that would be 11 out of 11 right here. Okay. Now, 9 elevenths would be like right here. Okay. Not quite one whole. So that's closer to 0 than 15 elevenths, which would be past that. Right. Just kind of wanting you to see how you would go through this. All right. Now, this one, 1/5 or 1/9. Well, if you divide this up into between 0 and 1 into 5 pieces or 9 pieces. Okay. So think about it this way. If this is one whole, 9/9 would be you're dividing this into 9 pieces, right? Like this. 6, 7, 8, 9. So that would be 1/9 right there. We divide it into 5 pieces, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1/9 would be closer to 0. It's a smaller number. Right. Now this one, the way you would check this one, first of all, is you need to make this one a decimal. So 4 into 5. You want the link instead. Yeah, I can get the link. All right. There you go, Isla. Isla said she needed the link. Anybody else want me to post them the link? Post it in the chat and I can get you there. All right, so this is going to get you 1 right here, and then a leftover of 1, and you probably know where this is going. So this is going to be 1 point, I think, 25. Sorry, drawing on this is not super great, but there we go. So then that's going to be 1.25. That's the same. Now on this last one, all right, we got 0.010. So that's 10 thousandths versus 1,000. So this is going to be greater. Therefore, this number right here is going to be the closer one to 0 right there. Okay. Sorry, I don't have enough megabytes of free usage on this to get you right on that one too. So we just talked through that one. All right. Now on to some for you to write on. Here we go. All right. Now, doggone it, Chloe. It was on there. It just was. All right. Y'all skip this one because I just totally talked you through that one. My fault. I don't know why I did that. I said my fault. I didn't blame it on you. I said I did this. Okay. All right. So what we need to do here on this first one is you need to kind of, on yours that you're annotating right here, what you need to be doing here is it says a flea is jumping around on a number line. So this is getting you to think through how to see absolute value things. Okay. So let's put a 0. The first thing you should do is put a 0 in the middle of your number line here. Okay. Like that. All right. I actually should, you know what? Let me switch this over to the one where I write on it. Okay. So go ahead and mark your 0 in the middle of yours. Okay. All right. All right. So we got a 0 marked on the middle of yours right here. Okay. Then it says it starts at 1 and jumps 4 units to the right. So it starts at 1 and it goes 4 units to the right. So notice how I'm counting these out like this. Okay. Just count them with little jumps there. Okay, so where does it end up? All right, like that. All right, so let me see what y'all got here. Yeah, should let me write on that other one. Oh, yeah, there's the one I should have been able to write on. Huh, this thing always mess me up. Why be doing that? There we go. Okay, so you should have the first one down by now. Okay, you should definitely have the first one down. Okay, so what we should have here so far, let me turn the names off. That way you can't see who's I'm looking at. All right, so the first one here, we got, yeah, that's right. So we got a 5 right there. That's good. Okay, so you should be at 5 for A, right? And then that's 5 away from 0. And that's what we're getting at with this today. Okay. All right. B, if the flea starts at 1 and jumps 4 to the left, where does it end up? So now do B. Okay. So we're going to start at 1 and go 4 to the left. All right. Starting at 1 and we're going 4 to the left. All right. So I should see you starting at 1 now and going 4 to the left. All right. So now what for B, the answer you're looking for is where did you end up at? So where you ended up, oh, somebody had it right and then they changed their mind. There. Okay, so we're here. All right. And then so we're at so here's our 0. We're at 1, and now we're going to go 4 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I here's 0, 1, so that's 0. That's -1. I need to make this significantly smaller to be able to read it. All right, -2 and -3. So on this one, all right, we were at 5 on that first one. We should be at -3. Now, notice the second part of the question here says, how far away from 0 are we? Well, you should know that that's 3 away from 0. Now, what it's wanting you to notice here is that the amount that it is away from 0 here, all right, so whoever's on here, you got to write that is 3 away from 0. Yeah, okay. The amount that it is away from 0, watch what I'm saying here, all right? Whoever person is here, you're working ahead and you have B wrong, okay? Right here, look right here. So when you went 4 to the left, you should have ended up at -3, okay? So we should be at -3 on B. Now, what I want you to notice here is that that is 3 away from 0, okay? Now, on C, all right, we're at 0 right here. All right, we're on C now, and it's going to jump 3 units away. Where could it go to if it goes 3? Well, what you should notice there is he could go left or right. So for C, you should have ended up with 2 different answers for C. All right, for some of you guys who just got in, there is here's the code for you to get into the Nearpod we are on right here. Okay. And I put it in the chat again if you just got in. Okay. All right. So what I'm wanting you to notice on C, right? Make sure your answer reflects this, is that there are 2 different answers of how far the little flea could be from the 0 now. Okay. So if he started at 0, and fix my eraser. If he started at the 0 and he went 3 away, he could be at, so here's, why do I keep going to that one? Sorry. All right. If you start at the 0 right here and you go 3 away, 1, 2, 3, you could be 3 positive. You also could be 3 away the other direction at 3 negative. Okay. So you could be at either 3 or -3. Either one of those would work. Okay. So the point of this is actually for you to get both of those answers down. Okay. And you, again, will see why. All right. So I'm wanting to see that you have, if you're paying attention, you should have both. For C, you need both answers down. You need 3 and -3. Right? When I'm looking at your answers in a little bit, when I'm going back over the work, if you want your full points for the day, you need both those answers down. I'm literally going over them. Okay. So I'm not giving you benefit of the doubt when I'm just telling you what I want written down. I think that's pretty fair. Okay. All right. Any questions on what I want for C? Okay. All right. If the flea jumps 7 units and lands at 0, where could it have started? Okay. So we're gonna have, so what I would do now is I would erase the part I have on the number line. Okay. Yeah, wrong eraser. So erase what you got on the number line here. All right. So if he is going to jump 7 and get to 0, that means he had to be 7 over here, right? Wherever 7 is over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So he could have been at +7 if he jumped 7 and got to 0. However, could he have jumped from somewhere else? Okay, you already got that. That's good. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He could have jumped from -7 if he jumped 7 places as well. Okay, so the idea is he could have jumped from 7 and he could have jumped from -7. Okay, so again, you need both answers down because it could have been either 7 or -7 could have worked. All right. Okay. So what questions do we have here? Okay. Again, just kind of see, my answers here, right? So I had 5 on the first one. All right. Then on the second one, he was at -3, but that's 3 from 0. And then on C, I had, if he started at 0, moved 3 away, he could be at 3 or -3. And then on D, if he jumped 7 to 0, he could have started at -7 or +7. Okay. Has anybody got questions on what we've done so far? Okay. All right. E, absolute value of the number is a distance from 0. Okay. So it says the flea, our little flea guy, he is currently left of 0 and has an absolute value of 4. So his distance from 0 is 4. So here's 0. He's to the left of 0. He's over here somewhere, right? And he has an absolute value of 4. So where is he at? Okay, so write that one down. Where is he for E? Where is he at for E? He's got to be left. So left is negative. So your answer should be negative on E. Okay. All right. This one looks right. Yep. So we got -4 is what our answer should be here. Okay. Because he's 4 to the left of the 0. Okay. That means that's a -4. Okay. Let me show you on mine again. So he goes like this. If he's 4 away from 0, but he's left 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So that's at -4. Okay. I also want to remind you, I posted this stuff on Legends of Learning that it has several lessons on this that are kind of like gamey ways of doing this stuff. So if you go through those lessons, I've designed several lessons, kind of built up some of the stuff to practice this stuff. Okay. All right. So E was -4. If he's left of the 0 and the absolute value of his location is 5, Where is he? Okay, so same idea. He's left of 0 again. And his absolute value is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means he's right here now. Okay, so that's F. So put whatever that is your F. And then G, he's to the right of 0, and the location is 2.5. So what's his location on the number line now? So go ahead and put F and G down real quick. All right, let me check, see how everybody's doing on that. All right, make sure you put the negative if you need it and don't if you don't. So like right here, this one is correct. So F, so for F, we have -5 because it's left of the 0. On G, it says right of the 0 with an absolute value of 2.5. That's just regular 2.5 is that answer. Okay. That's all there is to it. Right. Okay. Now, on number 2. Everybody got one done all the way through now. All right. On number 2 now, it says we use the notation. This is writ. The way you say this is how you read absolute value. Okay. The absolute value of -2, which is those little vertical lines. It's not parentheses. They work like parentheses kind of, but not exactly. So this reads the absolute value of -2, which means how far -2 is from 0. Okay. So that's always a positive number. It's not the opposite per se. Okay. So for A, write down the absolute value of -7 is, so put what that equals right there, and then put what this one equals right here. Okay. So it means how far they are from 0. So then write down what the answer of each one is. Okay. A couple of y'all are missing this. It means how far it is from 0. This is literally the only thing that you can screw up with on absolute value. Okay. So I'm going to show you this. Don't miss it anymore after you see me do this. Okay. The absolute value is always a positive. Okay. Why? Notice the definition right here. Look at this. This is, some of y'all are missing this. So this, you need to listen, because literally with absolute value, you either get them all right or you fail. Okay. Because it's that straightforward. Okay. Absolute value means how far it is from 0. It can't ever be a negative amount from 0. Okay. So here's what I mean by this. All right. That's the whole point of this whole thing we've been doing on this today. Okay. So look, if this is 0 right here, okay, the absolute value, so this is -2, right? But if I say, what's the absolute value of -2? That means how far is -2 from 0? It is 2. It means literally how far it is from 0. Okay. So if I say, what's the absolute value of 2? That means how far is 2 from 0? It's 2. Okay. So it just means the distance from 0. Okay. So it's never negative. All right. Therefore, the absolute value of -7 means how far is -7 from 0? 7. Do you see? How far is 1.8 from 0? 1.8. So for the absolute value, you literally just write the positive every time, because it's how far it is from 0. That's all there is to it. Okay. Everybody get what I'm saying there? That's the point of the little flea stuff. The flea could be going forward to the left or forward to the right. He's moving forward. Either way you look at it, he's moving forward. Okay, so everybody fix your answer. Make sure you got that right now. I don't want to see you coloring. That's not useful. Whoever's coloring here, I will not give you full credit for coloring on your thing. Okay, so it's how far it is from 0. If you got a negative, you need to unsubmit it and you need to fix it. Okay, there's no reason there should be negatives on there. All right, it's how far it is from 0. I legit don't want to call your name out here because you should be listening. And I'm telling you, absolute value means how far it is from 0. So if you fail this stuff right here, it's because you ain't listening, because I couldn't have been any more clear. All right. Okay. Next one. All right. So this one is just, I don't even know if this one was supposed to be something you wrote on or not. Not really. Okay. So on this one, it says again, absolute value of a number is its distance from zero on a number line. Okay. Therefore, the absolute value of -7 is 7 because it is 7 from the number line or from the zero. The absolute value of 5 is 5 because it is 5 from the zero. Okay. So, like if I put right here, what's the absolute value of -3? It's 3 because it's 3 from zero. What's the absolute value of +6? 6 because it's 6 away from zero. That's legit all there is to it. Okay. All there is to it. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay. Now, one thing I need to make sure that you get here. Did I have this one to write on or not? Chloe? Yes. Yes. Okay. All right. So what we got here is the difference between your opposite number. Gina, if you need to fix one, then go back and do the other version of it and do just the slides that you missed. I'm not going back right now. All right. The difference between your number's opposite and its absolute value. Okay. I might pull the little text box up if I was you right here. Okay. All right. So the difference between the number's opposite and its absolute value. Okay. So a number's opposite is something, right? Its absolute value is something, right? So go ahead and answer your part for A here. All right. So the first one, let's see what we got, what your answer are for that first one here. Like this is legit the standard, okay? Like I'm telling you, you're like, why do I have to type this? Because it's what you're supposed to be able to do. All right. Okay. All right. I see that looks pretty good. Um, the opposite could be positive or negative because you're flipping the sides of the number line, right? Okay, that's a good answer. Whoever put that. Okay. So yeah, so whoever just X off this slide, I'm Xing out that you any point that you thought you were going to get for this slide. All right. Sorry, I'm just getting tired of people thinking they're going to do what they want to do and not what they don't want to do. I'm tired of that crap. Okay. If I'm telling you to do it, daggum do it. I know more about teaching math than you do. All right. So, all right, the opposite could be positive or negative because it's on the other side of the zero, right? Right. So I would say opposite is, flipping to other side of zero. So could be positive or negative. All right. Its absolute value is, I'll give you a hint, the next word should be always. All right. If you're paying attention, you should know the next word is always something because it is blank. Okay. That will finish the answer right there. Okay. All right. It's always a positive because it is a distance from zero. Okay. Back to my answer here. Its absolute value is always positive because it is the distance from zero. Right. the distance from zero is always going to be a positive. Okay. So that's that first part of the answer. Okay. So your opposite can be positive or negative, right? Because it's flipping to the other side of the zero, right? Yeah, I'll hurry back. All right. So that can be positive or negative, right? Absolute value is always positive because it's distance from zero. Okay. Does finding an absolute value always mean changing the sign? Okay. So hopefully you know no. So put no because whatever. No because, so this is the second one. All right. You should know that's no. Why does it not always mean changing the sign? No because something. All right. Pretty straightforward, I think. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. The whole 0 point. All right. So it actually goes back to that first answer, though, because it's no, because if it's positive, it stays positive, right? Because it's still the distance from zero. Okay. So they all become positive. So if it's already positive, it stays. If n is any number that can be negative or positive, what's the sign of the absolute value of n? Okay. Don't overthink this. The sign of the absolute value is always positive. See right there. All right. That's the last answer here. The answer is always positive. For any number's absolute value, the answer is always positive. Okay. Any questions on that? I got those down. Okay. We got like 6 more slides here, and I would like to be done in a reasonable time. Everybody got your answers down. Okay. Everybody good? I need more time. Okay. All right. Neil. All right. Absolute value, elevation, and temperature. So this is kind of what we got on these is just a kind of a few sort of examples of how to use this. Okay. All right. So we have a part of the city of New Orleans is 6 feet below sea level. So -6 feet can describe its elevation, and the absolute value of 6, right, means its distance from sea level. Okay. So if we're thinking about this, all right, in terms of elevation, okay, what would each one mean? Okay. So is I put a number line on here just for you to think through. Okay. So in terms of elevation, 25 feet would be, so you're just kind of typing it in here. These are like kind of more typing type answers. Okay. So 25 feet, look at the example of New Orleans there. Okay. And these are the kind of questions I have to ask you, right? I got to ask you questions, seeing if you're understanding what they mean. That's what I'm supposed to do. Okay. So the 25 feet here means 25 feet below sea level. Okay. The absolute value of 25 feet means, right, it is just the vertical distance from sea level. So it's the 25 feet from sea level. Oh, sorry, this one was 25 feet above sea level. My bad. So if it was -25, that'd be 25 below. Okay. So this is 25 feet above sea level. And then the second one is 25 feet from sea level. Okay. Now, write down C and D now, if you haven't already. So C says -8 feet. D is an absolute value, right? Of, you got -8 feet. What's the absolute value of that? Okay. So go ahead and get that written down if you haven't yet. So get your C and D written down also. So I gave you A and B. So the 25, A is 25 feet above sea level. Okay. B is going to be the distance of 25 feet from sea level. Okay. So here's notice how I did this one 25 feet above sea level, right? Because notice right here it says New Orleans is 6 feet below sea level, part of it, -6. So this would be 25 feet above sea level. That's 25 feet from sea level. So that means the -8 would be, you should have that written down. And then the D, right? Okay, let me see what we're getting here. Okay, see somebody's got it right there. Like, this is literally what I'm talking about right here. Right? Notice what this person's got. 8 feet below sea level. That's what the -8 means. Okay. And then D is going to be 8 feet from sea level. Perfect. Whoever this is right here, go ahead and move your 8 feet thingy little box up there. And then you'll be able to write. Perfect. That's exactly it. Okay. That's what we need. So fix yours to look like this. That's what it should look like. Okay. All right. So 8 feet below sea level is -8. The absolute value of -8 feet is the distance from zero, which would be 8 feet from sea level. Okay. All right. Now, the elevation of a city is different from sea level by 10 feet. What two elevations could it have? So you can have two different elevations if it's 10 feet from sea level. Okay. So what are the two possible answers? All right. So I'm back on mine here. So I already showed you the answer to that on somebody else's. All right. So for number two, you could have two different possible elevations to be 10 feet from sea level. So think about it. You could be 10 feet from sea level this way, or you could be 10 feet from sea level this way. So that's why there's two different possible answers. So here you're writing two different numbers down. Okay. See a few people right here. Okay. All right. So this person right here needs to go back and fix their number one. Whoever you are here, you need to fix your number one. Your number two is right there. Okay. Because it could be at -10 feet and +10 feet. Right. So like this. Okay. So that's number two. All right. All right. Number three, we write -5 degrees Celsius to describe a temperature 5 degrees Celsius below freezing. Okay. And then 5 Celsius for a temperature that is 5 above freezing. Okay. So what we would do here then is, so on 1 degree Celsius, that would be, and type these with me as I'm going here. So you got like 1 degree above zero. Okay. All right. Then the second one, straightforward like that too. So that would be 4 degrees below zero. Okay. And then here, for these other two, they're absolute values. So they are how far they are from zero. Okay. So this would be 12 degrees from sea level. And then the other one's going to be 7, or not sea level, sorry, 7 degrees from zero. And then, or 12 degrees from zero, and then 7 degrees from zero. Okay. So both of those are going to be the from zero things, right? Because that's the distance from zero is what the absolute value means. Okay. All right. Now, the last part of this one, which temperature is colder? Is it -6 degrees Celsius or 3 degrees Celsius? I think most of y'all can certainly figure that one out here. All right. So think colder is more negative, right? So which one is colder? This would be colder. This would be hotter, right? Okay. So the colder one, I think, is pretty clearly this one. All right. Which one is closer to freezing? Okay. Now let's see what you got on this one. Let's see what y'all get on 4B. Make sure everybody's get that one. Which one is closer to 0? -6 or +3? Which one is closer to 0? Look at the amount of notches from 0. See which one is closer. Closer to 0. And maybe you refresh it. I'm not sure. Okay, so, all right, this one, yeah, so this is perfect answer right here. So -6 degrees Celsius or 3 degrees Celsius. The correct answer is that 3 degrees Celsius is closer to 0, is closer to freezing, right? It has a smaller absolute value, right? Because it is the one closer to 0. So -6 over here is 6 away from 0, right? So that's an absolute value of 6. This one had an absolute value of 3. Okay. So that means that the 3 degrees Celsius had a smaller absolute value. It's closer to 0. Okay. So that's what you should have on 4, B, and C. Okay. All right. Any questions on that one? Or we kind of move on here. Let me see how much I got left here on this. Okay. We got 3 more slides. All right. It, get off there. Oh, there we go. All right. So all we got to do on this one is draw little lines, right? Match it up. Okay. So match up or just put the letter A, B, C, and D, okay, as to which one goes where. All right. So which one of these means 4 degrees below? So here's sea level right here, or 4 feet below sea level right there. Okay. What letter would that be? And then which one means, so we got the A right here. So the A would be the one above sea level. Okay, so go ahead and match them up, and then I'll go over it in just a second and see if you're right. About 30 seconds. All right, so I think the most obvious one here to me is that A right here is the 15 feet above sea level. Okay, that's what I would start. Okay, now that means that B is that absolute value of 15, because what that's showing us right there, you see the little arrows, that's showing us that that's 15 feet, right? The distance from sea level, right? See, the distance from is the absolute value. Okay, now this one's kind of tricky because it didn't draw a little line there, which it should have. All right, so that will tell us that the C is the distance below the sea level right there. And then 4 feet below sea level is going to be the D right there. Okay. All right, so that's what our answers are on that one. Any questions on that one? The C and D one are a little tricky because they didn't draw the little line. Okay, but that's the idea. All right, let's see. Are we on our, is this our last one? Nope. All right, next to last one. Let me go back. Okay. At a certain time, the distance between, or the difference between the temperature in New York City and Boston was 7 degrees Celsius. The difference between the temperature in Boston and Chicago was also 7. Was it the same in New York as Boston? And sorry, is the New York temperature the same as Chicago? Okay, so I put a number line on here just to kind of help you think through it. All right. Does the temperature, let me restate the question, see if this helps you. Does the temperature have to be the same in New York and Chicago based on that information? Difference between the temperature in New York and Boston was 7. Boston and Chicago was also 7. Do they have to be the same temperature? Well, a lot of times it helps to pretend an answer here. You're comparing both of them to Boston. So I'm going to put Boston right here. Okay. So if we put N for New York and C for Chicago, clearly they could be the same temperature. The question is, do they have to be the same temperature? So if you can give an example of them not being the same temperature, then you prove they don't have to be. Okay. All right. See what you got. So basically, you're needing to come up with a possible way of answering this in which they aren't the same. Can you think of an answer where they're not the same? Pretending that Boston is at 0 should help you. So clearly they could both be at 7, right? But do they have to both be at 7? The answer is, I think y'all are going to get it. Can you give the counter example? There we go. Okay, I see it. Yeah. Right. This is kind of what I'm looking for right here, right? This person said no, because you could have, say, Chicago's at -7 and New York's at +7, or reverse it, right? Doesn't matter. The point is to prove that it's not, doesn't have to be the same is the question here, right? Because you could, I mean, for all that matters, Boston could be 7, New York could be 0, and Chicago could be 14, right? Okay. Hopefully that makes sense, right? Even if it's freezing for you, you can go back and do the Nearpod later, because I have a different one posted that you can do on your own pace. And it might be the bandwidth of the internet that this is too much for your internet, right? So that's possible. You can go back and do it later if you have to. Okay. All right, last one. Okay. So last one here for today. And I've already, I think y'all know what we have to do for the week here. Okay, Mary. All right. So order the numbers from least to greatest. Okay. So we got 1, 3, and 6 from least to greatest. The absolute value of 1, 3, and 6 from least to greatest. If you want to, just for speed purposes, so let's just write down order from least to greatest, right? 1, 2, 3, least to greatest. Okay. All right. Well, the absolute value of 1 is 1. Right. So 1, and then that's 3, that's 6. So that order is the same. Okay. Now, when you start getting negatives like this, I think it's useful to have yourself a number line here, like this. Okay. Because now I can look at it and say, here's 0, and the least would be over here, and greatest would be over here. Right. So I can look at it like this. Okay. Mary, I said okay. All right. So when we do the absolute values of, or sorry, these negatives, -6 would be over here, -3 would be right here, and -1 would be right here. So the least on this one would be the -6. The second one would be the -3, and the third one would be the -1 would be the greatest because it's closest to 0. All right, now the thing I want you to notice right here is this. When we take the absolute value of these, the absolute value of -1 is 1. The absolute value of -3 is 3. And the absolute value of -6 is 6. So 1, 3, 6. So now once you took the absolute value, the reverse of them, it switches order, right? So the absolute values, okay, of go like this. The absolute value of -1 is the least. Then the absolute value of -3, that's 1. That's 3. And that is 6. Why do they reverse when you do the absolute value? Because they're distance from 0. Right? It's because it's how far from 0. Okay. And that's kind of the key concept of the whole lesson is the absolute value is how far from 0. It's the distance from 0. Okay. All right. Any questions on that? All right. Okay. So basically, hopefully you can explain absolute value, what it is. It's how far it is from 0, what the little notation for it looks like, and the absolute value of rational numbers. Okay. All right. And make sure you got all those slides done. If for some reason you have some trouble with some of them, you can go back to the student paste one. I have some a different code for that one. You can go back and do that one later in case you missed parts, for me to know that I need to give you the full credit for that. Make sure you have all the slides done. If you had to kind of put some of these compared with some of those, just let me know to check for both of them. Okay. All right. I will see you guys later.